We like to throw those curves. So today's talk is just for you, each and every one of you. So I want you to just dust off your shoulders, wipe away any baggage that you came in here with.
Amen.
Leave it in the door because you're going to say after me, I am open.
I am open.
I am available.
I am available.
And I am ready.
And I am ready.
Yes, we are ready because this month, this whole month of April, we're going to be talking about the qualities that create a flawless gem of life. And I view each and every one of us as a gem. Using the 4 C's standard of diamonds, and we're talking about clarity, cut, color, and carat. And today, we're going to talk about the cut. Very important, the cut. When a diamond or a gem comes out of the ground, it's rough. It's rough and it's not shiny. And it takes a process, cutting, to let that flow that is inherently beautiful within it come forth. So we can look at our lives that same exact way, right? We come in, we're brilliant, but opposite to the gems, we get covered up with a lot of grime, a lot of junk, a lot of gook, and then we spend, when we become aware and awake, the rest of our lives clearing it, cutting it away. So we're going to be getting into that today. So when a craftsman cuts a diamond, they are creating a shape, round, solitaire, all the different shapes of a diamond. And the diamond's cut determines its brilliance. So Marcel Tolkowski was a member of a Polish family of diamond cutters and an engineer by education. He created a mathematical formula in 1919 that could cut the perfect proportions of a diamond for maximum value and brilliance. This is interesting. With the least amount of waste. Tolkowski established what is now called the American standard and is, in the diamond industry, the benchmark of really high quality and essentially used worldwide. Today we're using lasers to cut, but it's all based on his formulation of how to get the most brilliant cut of this diamond. All of these improvements made the diamond cutting process easier to create more value for the gem, because that cut allows the brilliance to shine through, and the light which is already within it is then revealed, right? So what looks like a brutal process, because sometimes it looks brutal, is indeed helping to create and enhance the beauty of the stone that is already there, the gem. And in many ways, life is shaping us the same way. With people and events and all kinds of situations, we are cutting away, especially when we become aware of the brilliance within us, but it's a lifelong process of cutting away. And most of the time, who you think you really are, that belief of who you really are, has to be undone. Yeah? Because we have formulated, most of us, these beliefs about who we are that are completely false, and they dim the real light that's brilliant within each and every one of us. Michael Beckwith, Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith of Agape Spiritual Center Mega Church in California, tells us about how he put himself through college selling pot, as many people did. He was very good at it. So he's going to be good at everything he does. Yeah. So he was very good at it, and what started off as, just a little for himself, turned into a big profit-making, thousands and thousands of dollars a week he was making. And he had sellers in Atlanta. I'm just giving you his background. It's very cool, actually. Atlanta and Nashville, New York, and Los Angeles. While this was happening, though, he had a spiritual awakening. It was in the form of a dream. And That night, he dreamt that he truly died, and he felt that death. And when he woke up, he saw the whole world around him differently. It just wasn't the same. And so what had really happened is that he had died to his littleness. He had died to the smaller Michael Beckwith and just had this complete spiritual awakening. And now he was in tune with this vibration that he called love beauty. And that's another name we can use for God. Many names we can use for the higher power. So here he was, selling drugs, and he had this spiritual awakening. So the universe, as it does, created a cut for Michael. And he was arrested.
Oh,
But, well, you know that, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was arrested. He got busted. He got busted for selling pot. But anyway, he still had this, he had this spiritual awakening taking place at the same time. And so he knew inherently that this was a natural process, a natural cut for him. Because the universe does that sometimes. It gives you those big 2x4s in order for you to wake up and say, whoa, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention, okay? And so that's what he did. He went to court, and the judge said to him when he showed up, young man, if I will suspend your sentence if you promise never to do this again. And I'll never see you in court again. And Reverend Michael Beckwith said, no, Your Honor, you won't. And the rest is kind of like history. I remember seeing him in the early 90s, and he was just beginning his lecturing, and he wasn't even married to Ricky, who he's not with now, but he has been for quite some time, and she's a great singer, Ricky Byers Beckwith. But Reverend Michael's life changed for the good when he left that whole drug life behind and moved forward and started preaching, started talking, started giving this message that he was born to give. So the cut in Reverend Michael's life had to happen in order for him to transform, in order for him to move forward. And we find that happening, I think, in a lot of our lives, that the more we become in alignment with the divine, with that which exists, and we let go of the old, the more room there is to make way for the new. Because there's always new. In the unknown, there's always new. So, are you holding on to something? Are you holding on to something that the universe is trying to cut out of your life? And if you are you ready to make that cut? Do you have room for the new within you? I know for me personally, the greatest cuts from my life usually have to be right in my face. I'm usually in relationships way too long, and it's usually something shocking that takes place. Like I talk about that, I mean, it doesn't have to be a universal 2x4, but for me, it's about the only thing that works. It gets my attention, okay? That gets my attention. Otherwise, I just keep going along. I was married for 42 years when I should have been gone after 5. So it shows you. And then I look back. I do. I look back and I see the patterns in my life where I perpetuate and I stay too long in situations and in relationships that no longer serve me. So the universe gives me those cuts because it's for my highest good. But because of the awareness that we all have in this room, she wouldn't be sitting here, we know that this is a message coming for us to elevate us, to make way for something new, something better in our lives. So Ernest Holmes said, we should expand. This is what he wrote. Dr. Ernest Holmes is the founder of Science of Mind, Religious Science. We should expand our thought until it realizes all good, and then cut right through all that appears to be, and use the almighty power for definite purposes. for definite purposes, always in alignment with the good. That means in alignment with divine love, in alignment with the source that has created us, that is within us. When we are in alignment with that, it not only feels right, it makes room for the infinite potential. These are not just words that we say at the beginning. My energy field is open for infinite potential, limitless possibilities, because that's what the universal energy is. It's limitless. So the cuts in life are really our apprenticeship in oneness. Can we get that? In oneness, because we believe in new thought, that we are unified through the God self, the presence of divinity, whatever you want to call it, within each and every one of us. That changeless part of us that was read from the reading today, that changeless part of us that knows all, that is all. There is nothing else. And so we are lifelong apprentices in oneness. That's our purpose. So if you walk through life going, I don't know what my purpose is. Why am I here? What is my? It's to align with oneness. It's to get in touch with that divinity within you. Then everything else is revealed. It's laid right in front. That's the way it works when we trust. And when we're not afraid of the unknown. The big thing, to move through the known and move into the unknown. And however you get there, I'm here to say it serves as your highest good. It is the greatest things in my life have happened, starting as young, when I left my mother at 15. It was the best decision I ever made. And right then and there, I said, wow, this is so freeing. This feels great. This feels wonderful. But then I wasn't healed. I wasn't in awareness. I wasn't in alignment. I didn't know about alignment with God, even though I could feel the presence. I didn't understand alignment. So I would get myself in abusive relationships over and over again until it was time, and I became aware. And I said, I don't want any more abusive relationships in my life. And then the universe steps in. And the universe is that divine presence. It is that divine presence that we believe is our higher power, our inner power, the all power. That's what we believe it is. So we do something here at Joyful Gathering and a lot of other New Thought centers called affirmative prayer, right? And or spiritual mind treatment, as Ernest Holmes called it. And it has a technique to it. It has 5 steps, which I'm going to go real quick. So I like to say 6 steps myself, and anyone that's been in my classes knows I will say that, because that purpose is so important. The purpose of your prayer should be a step, and it should be affirmative. It should be an affirmation. So the first other step, the second step, we're going to go in order here, 5 steps. 1 is God is all there is. There is nothing else but this infinite power of good. Right? 2, I am unified with this infinite power of limitless potential. And 3, this is what I declare is in my life right here, right now. I'm claiming my good. And the 4th step is, I give thanks for this good. I give thanks for all of these wonderful situations. They might be painful, but they're wonderful anyway in my life. I give thanks. And the last step is to release and let go. To release and let go into the law of divine mind, where this word is made manifest. That is the shortest version I can give you of affirmative prayer. But step number 2 is sometimes the hardest. That's where we're unifying with something that is so much greater than we believe we are. But it's so important for us to realize that we are brilliant gemstones. Every aspect of our being, that changeless part of who we are, is the divine part of who we are. You have to embody that step. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Embodying what we want. You have to embody the concept that we are all created out of this infinite oneness. Well, the other steps, they don't matter. They don't work until you embody that you are a child of the divine, that you are a child of God, that you are this divine energy. And I hate to break it to all of us, but it's kind of good news, but we signed up for this. We signed up for this course every week, and you know what that means? It means we got to take responsibility for every single thing in our life.
Yes.
Whoa, is that something? That really makes it a little tricky. It really does. Like, that's not my fault. That's that person over there. I'm feeling all of this stuff, but it's nothing to do with me. And that's the good news and the bad news, is we have to take responsibility for every single experience, relationship, everything in our lives. That's the way it works. Reverend Tom Costa, who was a former minister of Palm Beach Center for Spiritual Living, said, I was in religious science for 15 years before religious science was in me. It takes time, because we're shifting. When you first come into this teaching, we're shifting, which is very empowering and freeing, by the way. There is no dogma, so you can forget that. If you're new here, there's no dogma. So we need to really shift all of our paradigms, all of our beliefs, and that's what is the ongoing life process that we signed up for if we become involved in these spiritual teachings. Someone asked Bagua, how do I stop judging others? And Bagua smiled and said, you don't understand. All I see is me. There's no one else. He was enlightened. He was enlightened. There is only one. Course in Miracles is very big on that. There is only one here. So within each and every one of us, we're all connected in that divine energy. And it is all energy. It's all vibration. It's so easy to judge the human experience. And I think about how often I have judged others, especially when I've been offended. It's really easy to do. How dare they? Righteous indignation. How dare they? But I've trained myself at that point to always, I can get really mad, get a little, all right, I'm going to say it, pissed off. Okay, a little bit, a lot sometimes. Yeah. But in the middle of it almost, I go to, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this situation? Some me. What am I going to learn from this that can make me go forward, that can enhance my awareness, that can allow me to deepen more into the divinity that I am? And I do that all of the time. What is the spiritual truth? Because we know it's always the opposite of whatever if it's anger, we know it's peace and harmony. You know, we know it's love. So we need to go to the opposite, the polar opposite. Those are usually where the spiritual truths lie. And I recently read an article by Reverend Lloyd Strome. The quote that stood out to me was, you cannot offend an enlightened being. You can. I think of when Bhante's here, you know? Bhante, the monk, the Sri Lankan Buddhist monk. It's like, I can't even imagine him really getting offended. And I've known him for like 20-something years now. And he just travels the world doing good. That's what he does. I can't imagine him getting really like he gets angry about countries, okay, that don't have water. He gets angry about those kinds of things. But personally, yeah, he's enlightened. He is an enlightened being, so I think of him. So, also, Lloyd Strong went on to say that the only way we will ever be able to live in a world where we are not offended is to learn how to forgive. To forgive all those who we perceive who have offended us. We have to keep going back to forgiveness. We need to continuously cut, if you will, cut all of the resentments, cut the hate away, because our brilliance cannot shine through. It is dimmed. It is covered up. when we don't forgive. So that is up to us to choose. You don't have to. You can walk around with your light like this big, or you can walk around with your light shining, radiating, letting go, consistently forgiving all whom you perceive who have offended you. And this is your apprenticeship. As long as you are harboring that resentment, ill feelings towards anyone, you know you have work to do. There's a cut to be made within you. There is a cut. I hung on to unforgiveness for my biggest forgiveness, and it took me like 45 years to reach that spot of forgiving my mother, of that, cutting away of that hate, pure hate. Cutting that away was the most freeing thing I have ever done. And, you know, it happened, I had been working on forgiveness for years. All right, I'm working on forgiveness, I'm doing forgiveness, but I'm still have that hate is within me. And one night I'm sitting in front of my TV, when I used to have more time, and I'm doing my needlepoint, which I love, and randomly, there is nothing random in this universe, right? Came this sadness, this compassion for this woman that was unable to love. My sister's sitting in the back. Are you crying yet, Kathleen?
No, not yet.
Okay, she will. But that's when the forgiveness filled my heart, because I was able to let go of it. And eventually she was able to be touched. She could come to my house and get a hug. Like when all the relatives would come over, everybody would get like a hug. And then she would walk by like this, you know. And then we started giving her hugs. And then she would walk by when she would come visit. Then she'd walk by like waiting for it. Waiting for it. Everybody wants to feel love. Some people are so shut off from their brilliance, they are unable to feel the love. And so that was truly the defining time. And then I started with Colin Tippin after that about radical forgiveness. But that was the time where I felt truth. And after that, I could get mad, but I can't hold on to it for longer than a couple of hours. It's like it just rolls away. It really does. And I go back to compassion, because that's healing. That for me. So life will polish you whether you like it or not. That's the way it works. Life continues to shine away at you. You can choose not to learn from it while this polishing is going on, but you're simply delaying the inevitable. You're simply delaying it, or you couldn't live in that. And I choose not to live in that victim consciousness, in that darkness, in that place that brings no joy at all. And so I have a faint memory of in one of my schools, grade schools, a teacher brought in a tumbler, and he took a geode, a raw stone, and he threw it into the tumbler, where it tumbled around and made this god-awful noise, this really loud noise. And then after a period of time, he turned it off and produced a beautifully polished stone with no rough edges around it. Have you ever felt like you're in a tumbler? Anyone? I know I have this week. Felt like I was in a tumbler, being tumbled all around. But again, the universe has shaken you up to awaken you. So the universe has shaken you to awaken you. So the more we practice these spiritual teachings, the more awake we become. And the more sensitive our vibration is to those kinds of feelings that are not uplifting. That I can't even live in something that's not uplifting anymore. I just can't. What if the cuts in your life were here to help you? What if, right? And I'm going to read Cory Booker's credo. You might not like him. He's a senator from New Jersey. This is not political, but I like this credo. So it goes like this. He wrote this. When they criticize you, love them for teaching you humility. When you heap scorn upon you, when they heap scorn upon you, love them for helping you to discover your resiliency. When they doubt you, love them for giving your dreams greater power. When they point out your faults, love them for their accuracy or inaccuracy. I put the inaccuracy part in there. I still got a little bit of that in there. When they wound you, love them for showing you your capacity to forgive. When they try to stop you, love them for making your resolve even stronger. When they cast you into darkness, or it can look that way, love them for helping you to discover your inextinguishable light. Because that is the truth of our being. We are each and every one of us a light, a beautiful light, that's waiting to shine its brilliance. And when you stand victorious, when your love has conquered the impossible challenge, because we don't believe in impossible, right? We don't do that. We go to the I'm possible, right? All things are possible, always. Invite them to stand with you so they too can feel love's power together. Science of Mind, in the Science of Mind magazine, there was this there was 2 pages, but it was a story that talks about the living rule. Now, Audrey Hepburn starred in The Nun Story, if you've ever seen that. Talk about forgiving. I appreciate Catholicism greatly. I think there's some wonderful, wonderful teachers of and rituals and all of that, but that was my second group to forgive, because I wasn't the good little girl, Irish Catholic girl. I was the one the nuns didn't take too kindly upon. So that was another big lesson in forgiveness, to forgive a group as one. So forgiving all of that and loving that. But anyway, let me go back to the nun story. So Audrey Hepburn starred in that movie. So it goes like this. This was in the magazine. When Audrey Hepburn and her father got to the convent for her to begin the training to be a nun, she and her father talked with the Mother Superior. After the Mother Superior walked away, her father said, "She's what's called a living rule." "What's a living rule?" Audrey asks. Her father replies, "If this convent burnt down today, along with every other church in this city, as well as all the sacred scriptures, anyone could look at her and know by her actions what our spiritual principles are. So from that, can they look at us? Can people look at us and know what our spiritual principles are? Are we living them to the best of our ability?" And that's all we can do, to the best of our ability. Living what we teach here. Living these spiritual principles. Could you be a living rule? Isn't that cool? Could you be a living rule?
Yes.
Yes is right. You sure could be. Living rules exhibit the same love and light when things are going well as when they go awry, right? No matter what tumbles in life for them, because things will tumble. They shine no matter what. They come out of it and they shine, just like that gemstone. Here's what I know, that you promised to awaken in this lifetime. I cannot believe that anyone sitting in this room who did not choose to awaken in this lifetime to the real empowering truth that each and every one of us is a brilliant gemstone, a brilliant light. The cuts in life that come your way are there to help awaken each and every one of us. That's why they happen. Many people, when they found out I was starting in this spiritual center, which I never thought I was going to do. Asked me why. And I said, because the Spirit told me. The divine told me. Download, instant, following it. Because, yeah, following it 9 years ago. Actually, 9 years, April 1st. 9 years ago. Why? And they say, boy, you're really brave. It takes courage. Well, I had no idea what I was doing, but I know the divine wanted me to take that step because I felt like I couldn't even say no, and I followed. I followed every single part of it. I think I'm as brave as much as I know that I take my apprenticeship in oneness seriously. So learn to listen to that indwelling voice. Learn to trust it, because it will lead you to greater manifestations and situations in your life than when you listen to the thoughts that sometimes lead us astray. In fact, they usually do, because they're filled with all kinds of old crap that doesn't belong there anymore. So anyway, my apprenticeship means that I trust that Spirit has a bigger picture. The picture, remember we say, we have to know the what, not the how. We trust the how to the universal mind. We trust it to lead us into our greatest expression of life that we are here to live. Where will your apprenticeship take you? You might not know. You don't have to know. But trusting it and taking those steps when guided leads you to a bigger version of who you truly are. We're not little. We're so much more. We're as powerful as any other human being on earth. There is no other person on this planet that is more powerful than we are. And we need to believe that. Are you ready to step out of the known into the unknown?
Yes. Yes.
That's the question you ask yourself. And it could be a little daunting. It can be really daunting. That's why I need those 2x4s, those universal, like, well, I'm going to give you a situation where I think you're not going to ignore this one. All right. You are meant to be brilliant, meant to shine, each and every one of us. So that's all any of us should know and should feel and should see. The cuts in life are there to help reveal that brilliance to you. All of the stuff is cutting away of the old. And so you get to the pure essence of who you are, because each and every one of us is truly meant to shine, to radiate our brilliance. So I invite all of you for this whole month of April, which is the month of Diamond, to shine on. Shine on. And that's it. Woo!